The Valthene assembly had taken 4 standard cycles to perfect the gravitational calibrator, 4 cycles of computational modeling, resource allocation, and precision engineering. The device gleamed under the sterile lights of Research Station Kepler-7, its crystalline structure humming with barely contained energy. To the assembled alien delegates, it represented the pinnacle of collaborative achievement: 17 species, countless hours, one perfect tool. Judith Chen leaned against the observation window, coffee in hand, wholly unimpressed. "They're really proud of that thing, huh?" Douglas Martinez muttered beside her, adjusting his maintenance coveralls. His human hands, so primitive compared to the Valthene's 4-fingered appendages or the Creeth's tentacles, fidgeted with a bent piece of wire he'd picked up somewhere. 4 years to make a fancy wrench, Judith replied, taking a sip. My abuela could have done it in her garage. The presentation chamber below was filled with dignitaries. Ambassador Threll Knox, a towering Valthene with skin like polished obsidian, held the calibrator aloft. Its purpose was singular and essential: to fine-tune gravitational field generators, the backbone of modern faster-than-light travel. Without properly calibrated generators, ships risked catastrophic dimensional tears. "The precision is unmatched," Threll Knox announced, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into flat standard. "Accurate to .001 quantum measurements. No species has achieved such refinement." Polite applause rippled through the chamber. Judith noticed the Creeth ambassador's tentacles writhing in what she'd learned was their version of appreciation. Even the normally stoic archons, beings of pure crystallized thought, pulsed with approving colors. Then the alarm started. Red lights bathed the station as a voice crackled over the intercom. "Gravitational anomaly detected in Docking Bay 7. Freighter Nomadic Venture experiencing critical field collapse. Repeat, critical collapse." Judith and Douglas exchanged glances. They were already running. The docking bay was chaos. The Nomadic Venture, a Creeth cargo vessel, listed at an impossible angle, its gravitational generators sputtering and warping the space around it. Crew members scattered as deck plating buckled. The local gravity flickered between 0 and 3 times standard, sending loose equipment flying, then crashing down with bone-breaking force. "We need the calibrator," someone shouted. "Where's the calibrator?" "It's in the presentation chamber," a technician responded, his voice crackling with panic. "That's 12 sections away." "The ship won't last 12 minutes, Judith said, her engineering training kicking in. She scanned the bay, mind racing. Douglas was already moving, that scavenger instinct that made humans such excellent survivors activating. He grabbed a broken mag clamp from a nearby toolbox. Judith snatched a coil of fiber optic cable from a storage locker, a shattered plasma torch, a handful of superconductor chips from a damaged repair drone. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" Douglas asked, his hands already twisting wires together. "Probably something stupid," Judith replied, kneeling beside him. "Let's do it." The aliens watched in confused horror as the 2 humans cobbled together what looked like absolute garbage. Judith stripped the fiber optic cable with her teeth, something that made several observers recoil, while Douglas hot-wired the mag clamp's power cell to the superconductor chips. "Humans, what are you doing?" Threll Knox had arrived, carrying the precious calibrator. "This requires precision instruments, not refuse." "We're improvising," Judith grunted, connecting the last wire. The contraption sparked. She ignored it. Douglas wrapped the cable around the plasma torch's housing 3 times, creating a crude electromagnetic coil. "We don't have time for perfect. We need functional." That's impossible," a Archon observer pulsed. "The calculations alone would require—" "We're not calculating," Judith interrupted. She held up their creation, a twisted mess of scavenged parts that looked like it might explode at any moment. We're feeling it. She ran toward the nomadic venture, Douglas right behind her. The gravity waves intensified, nearly knocking them off their feet. Judith's coffee had long since been abandoned, but her determination hadn't wavered. They reached the ship's exposed generator housing. The proper procedure would involve careful measurements, triple-checked alignments, sterile conditions. Judith jammed their makeshift device against the housing and activated it. The improvised calibrator screamed. Sparks flew. The fiber optic cable glowed white-hot. For 3 seconds, every alien in the bay was certain they were about to witness a catastrophic failure that would doom them all. Then the nomadic venture's generators stabilized. The gravity normalized. The sparking stopped. The ship settled gently onto its landing struts with a pneumatic hiss that sounded almost relieved. Silence filled the bay. Judith pulled their device free. It was smoking, half melted, and would probably never work again. She tossed it to Douglas, who caught it with a grin. 10 minutes, he said, checking his watch. Actually, 8.5. Threlnox approached slowly, still clutching his perfect calibrator. His obsidian skin had paled to a dull gray. How did you know it would work? Judith shrugged. We didn't. But humans have been fixing things with duct tape and prayers for thousands of years. You learn to see how systems work, not just how they're supposed to work. Your device had a 0.3 quantum margin of error, an Archon observed, its crystalline form pulsing with something that might have been shock. That should have been catastrophic. 0.3 is plenty for an emergency, Douglas said, wiping grease off his hands onto his coveralls. Your fancy tool is great for maintenance. Ours was great for not dying. The Creeth captain of the nomadic venture approached on unsteady tentacles. Through his translator, Gratitude warbled, You saved my ship, my crew, with garbage. One species' garbage is another species' gold mine, Judith replied. She glanced at the assembled aliens, all of whom were staring at the two humans, with a mixture of awe and something that might have been fear. Ambassador Threlnox looked down at his perfect calibrator, then at the smoking remains of the human device. We spent 4 cycles designing perfection. Perfection's overrated, Judith said, already walking toward the bay exit. She needed a new coffee. Humans don't do perfect. We do good enough, fast enough, and we make it work. Douglas paused at the doorway, that bent wire still in his hands. He'd been fidgeting with it the whole time, and somehow, unconsciously, he'd twisted it into a perfect coil, the exact shape they'd needed for the electromagnetic field. He looked back at the aliens, grinned that particularly human grin that spoke of cockroaches surviving nuclear winters and primates throwing themselves at the stars, and said, Welcome to humanity. We've been doing the impossible with trash since we lived in caves. The door hissed shut behind them, leaving a bay full of the galaxy's finest minds to contemplate a troubling truth. Precision was admirable, but adaptability was survival. And humanity had been adapting since before the stars knew their names.